Alright, so we are gonna try something new. This is sort of like, I guess, a live, you could say. Um, Never done this before, but I thought I would share my thoughts on a topic that I have some knowledge about. Not a lot, but something that I think I've been able to have a relatively good grip on and sort of try and tackle a problem that I have overcome, and maybe it will be of some benefit to the viewer. So, yeah, that's sort of what I'll do. Also, I won't normally have this little mustache. I don't know why I still have it. I need to shave. Looks very bad. And yeah, I got bags in my eyes. I did not get good sleep last night, so I apologize for my unsightly appearance, but we'll get through it. Yeah, so I've actually been thinking a lot about the downsides and consequences and I guess trap of the trap of instant gratification. Now, what is instant gratification like fundamentally? And it's a dopamine loop. So, first of all, what is gratifying, about things, that are instant? Well, first of all, the dopamine hit you gain from seeing, hearing, doing, even, listening to something that delivers, the novelty in a relatively short period of time, um, is awesome, right? Because that means you can get more quote unquote gratification within a certain amount of time versus something like, say, a podcast, something long form, uh, that's going to take maybe a couple hours, maybe even 30 minutes before you're like, oh, I really enjoyed that part of the podcast or something like that. Versus like Instagram reels where you're getting hit after hit after hit versus each new viral piece of content. And you could waste hours doing that, and we do. Which probably, most of us watching struggle with, I know I used to. And I still do from time to time. Like, sometimes, maybe like, it's not hard for me anymore, but I used to spend quite a bit of time, focused on, you know, like most kids my age were, graduated, I, I graduated high school last year, but say like, 2, 3 years ago, as a junior, as a sophomore, um, I was interested in the same things, most people my age were, you know, TikTok was just getting big, everybody was talking about TikTok when I was in sophomore year. You know, video games, my Xbox, my computer, just games, video games in general, just short form content, shows, you name it. I was just every which way that way. I had no focus, and I couldn't focus. After a while, and in class, I couldn't focus on something that didn't deliver some sort of dopaminergic high within the first minute or so, and that makes for a very miserable life in general because you can't have that all the time. And when you do, and it's suddenly taken away from you, it's very hard to enjoy the little things in life or just the daily things in life. And that's, I think, something that at least my generation, most of us are gonna have to wrestle with in some way or another. And and what about I don't know how to phrase this correctly exactly, but there's something about getting things quickly, that trains your mind to expect that. And when you don't, you it actually does the inverse. Now you're experiencing negative emotion when in reality, if you'd never experienced, that short-term gratification, you wouldn't be, having like a relapse for like Instagram reels, right? And and that's another thing I noticed about short-term gratification is like it made everything else seem so bland. Um, and we do this in more ways than one. It's not just the content we consume, but think about it like sugar. Sugar is a form of instant gratification. I recently tried to stop eating sugar, for like a month, and I remember I ate like a apple, and I was like, "Holy shit! Like, bro, this is awesome." It's just an apple, but when when your diet has been primarily low sugar foods, rarely sweet, an apple is it's one hell of a fruit. So, which I guess sort of brings me to maybe some of the possible antidotes to short term gratification, which is being able, to live without that constant need of dopamine hit, is slowly like weaning yourself off of Instagram and off of Twitter, you name it. Secondly, it just absolutely gets you in a state of mind that you don't need to be in. Like, especially Twitter does. Twitter does a really good job of this, where you could be having just a nice day, and you go on Twitter, or say Instagram, or whatever it is for you. Everybody has their own particular, uh, temptation, you could call it. And you start reading about this controversy or this horrible thing that's happened, and you immediately you start picking a side and do a bit of research on it, things like that. That was me for like the Israel versus Palestine thing, and it totally just like consumes you and sort of ruins your day for no reason, right? Other than you wanting to experience some form of novelty, uh, because we've become accustomed to letting these little devices be our source of meaning and map, you could say, in life. And at the end of the day, it's also like, is that it? It's also like it's not worth it. It's what do you call when you expected something to be better, and then once you get it, it wasn't all worth all that much. There's a specific word I'm thinking of, but I can't remember it right now. Um, and and it's no wonder we chase that novel hit of dopamine, right? I think for most of our prehistoric lives, we didn't have access to things that could make us laugh, smile, uh, at hand so quickly. And so when you have an opportunity to experience something like that, you jump on that, and I feel like it's almost, don't quote me on this. This is just me speaking my mind, but I almost think that's almost a biological necessity or biological hardwiring for us to be so intrigued with uh, having experiences like that. And like Instagram, for example, Instagram Reels. That's where I sometimes struggle, and I've done a pretty good job. It's gotten a lot easier. Um, I started listening to podcasts. That's really helped. That's really helped me. Um, but yeah, Instagram Reels is just an example of that, where it's one new viral thing after another, and each thing is just completely gripping your attention. And then you go out into the real world, and you got to work a job for 8 hours a day, or you got to write an essay for your class, and you're like, what? Like, this is nowhere near the same level of meaning and fulfillment I found in the moment of, watching these little shorts, or these TikToks and things like that. Um, and so it leads to, like I said, making everything else so bland and undesirable. When in reality, the most desirable things come from doing, maybe the mundane and the everyday things. Um, and I think we all know that deep down. Like, we never finish a session of doom scrolling, as they call it, and think, wow, that was a solid, use of my time. You know, it's very rare that that happens because it doesn't really benefit you in the long run. And even like in the moment, like there's so many other things you could have been doing, and like even for the next day, you're like, yeah, I wasted that, and I don't feel good at the end, and it makes everything so much less exciting. It makes life really bland, and so I I had a I was basically addicted. Like I couldn't even play a video game without listening to a podcast in the background. Like I would play Forza and listen to a podcast at the same time, dude. Like it was unhealthy. And I could call it multitasking, but it really was just me trying to hit that new next level of, that dopaminergic high that you get from consuming content and, or video games. And I guess you could ask, what could be a solution to all of this? And I know I already mentioned things like starting to watch, long form content, things like that. Um, but this is going to sound so obvious, but not so obvious. Um, because some people would say, you're not doing enough exciting things in your life. But I don't think that's true because if you think about it, as a kid, you could distract yourself with pretty much anything. You could find ways to amuse yourself with practically nothing. And I remember as a kid being a lot more creative in the ways I spent my time and doing things that honed my creative abilities, you could say. And I don't do that anymore. Whenever, I have an off time, I would immediately go and, play a game, consume some sort of content because, I'd have to get back to work or something like that. And it really just leaves no room for you to be creative, for you to be able to sit alone with your thoughts for just 1 second of the day. Like even listening to me or watching this, that's another reason, like, it probably isn't helping, right? To consume more and more content. And people think that, they're just going to maybe cure their, need for instant gratification by going from one self-help guru to another, while fueling it in the process, right? Watching motivational clips on social media to help you with whatever goal, and it never works. And I know because I tried it, so I'm not just, talking to talk. But I truly think the answer is literally just stop. Delete your Instagram, delete your TikTok, stop watching YouTube. I have this app that doesn't do any recommended videos. It deletes all recommended videos. It doesn't show me my homepage videos. It just shows who I'm subscribed to and if they've uploaded. It just shows like a little, that blue notification. That's it. I have never spent less time on YouTube. I got rid of Instagram. Let's look at my daily usage, of, well, I guess I won't do that now because I'm using my phone as the microphone. But my daily usage of my phone is about an hour. Usually, I'm trying to get it below an hour. and it should only be messages, maybe some finance apps, and Facebook, in case I've need to message somebody on Messenger, and that's about it. And it is so nice inside my head. I don't have to, because I already have a pretty, not stressful life, but I have some things to handle, right? And I don't need the problems of the world on top of that. And so it's literally been so, I don't know how to call it, healing, you could say. Not healing, it's more like restoring. And I've had time to think about other things. I'm not obsessed with whatever this streamer did, or this new game. I got rid of video games. I got rid of some of my childish things, books that I didn't need, comics, things like that. And I've picked up some longer form books, that make you think, and that I don't immediately have to stop reading because I'm not interested within the first minute, of reading it. And if it makes me think, I don't immediately discard it to go watch something else because, I don't want to waste the mental, capacity to have to understand. And it really makes everything else in life just more enjoyable. Being able to read something long form, listen to 3-hour long podcast, that's where I get my dopamine from now. And it's so much better. And you almost start to realize, like, why did I even like this to begin with, Like, why was Instagram Reels so, like, entrapping for me? And there's a whole world out there, Get outside your phone. There's so much more to explore. Visit a library, Walk in a freaking park, dude. That is like the best thing. Taking a walk. It's so nice. Going for a drive. And I love going on drives with no music, you just drive and look around. Using the bathroom with no phone. Just small things like this. And I realized, well, I didn't realize, but I started to feel in the moment. Like I was living in the moment. And the distractions of the day don't tempt me. Whether it be food, entertainment, social outings, whatever you name it. And I'm able to distinguish the things I'm truly enjoy and fulfilled by versus the things that make me happy for the short term. And this sounds like basic advice, but some people, bro, I'm telling you, some people just don't understand that at all. And that's okay. I did that at some point, so I'm not, denigrating those who don't have the opportunity or who haven't had the insight or been given, the tools to quit their addiction to this thing we call short-term gratification. But it's definitely one of the most crucial and beneficial things for me into becoming the kind of person I'd like to be. And being able to act instead of consume. Look at me. Now I'm creating something, It's done quite the opposite. And it takes a level of focus, which I didn't have, I don't know who might be watching this or who this may help, but I definitely hope I've been able to impart some level of wisdom to those watching, to my 5 subscribers. I think it's 6 now. I think it's still, I don't know. But you guys rock. And I appreciate you watching. And I shall see you in the next video. Peace out.